Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday. Thanks so much for joining us again today. As always, I am Dorothy Dorton, AARP Alabama Associate State Director of Outreach for Lower Alabama. And I am welcoming back, I should say, Emily Blejwas with the Alabama Folklife Association. Thanks for joining us, Emily.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Happy holidays.
And we've got a comment already. Good morning, Miss Pauline. And Miss Pauline is going to be one of our rock stars today. So we'll get to that in just a second. But with this pandemic in full swing, many of us aren't able to have those traditional holiday season that we're all used to. And so we all know how important these traditions are. And so for our last Wisdom Wednesday of 2020, we wanted to talk about those traditions and just kind of celebrate those traditions, even though we may not be able to have them this year. Maybe we'll develop some new traditions this year. But we really wanted to talk about those and show some really special video clips of some very special folks telling their own holiday traditions. And these clips, we're so lucky because these clips are going to live in perpetuity thanks to the Alabama Folklife Association. They're going to be in the state archives. Is that correct, Emily?
That's right.
Yeah. And so there'll be a legacy for these families, the state of Alabama, and for all future generations. So that's what's really nice. And just to let you know, you can participate in this. It's called Folk in 5. And Emily's going to talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But if you're interested in it, her email address is down below. And so Emily, and I want to remind everybody, please feel free in the comments, ask questions, relevant to the broadcast in the comments section. We'll try to get to them. We also want to hear if you have any fun, holiday traditions or holiday foods that you like to eat, or, holiday songs you like to sing. We would just love to hear that. So if you want to post that in the comments during the show, please do. We'd love to talk about those too. So again, Emily, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks again for joining us. You joined us back in October to really tell us what folk life is to begin with. So can you kind of tell us a little more about the Folk in 5 program, and then kind of introduce our first video?
Yes, thank you. So the Folk in 5 is our program at the Alabama Folklife Association, where we are asking Alabamians to submit 5-minute videos of your folk traditions, which we define as any tradition that's been passed down to you through the generations. And that can happen in families, communities, it can happen in your faith life, it can happen in work. So there's all kinds of different traditions that get passed down, and we're just interested in those short videos from you, and we will put all those on our website, but also, like Dorothy mentioned, they'll be archived. So it's a great way to share your tradition and to ensure that it lives in perpetuity at the state archives. So we did a special holiday version of Folk in 5 for today. And we heard from a few of you who were so generous in sharing their traditions with us. And the first person we're going to hear from is Pauline George. And I know she's watching now. So hello, Miss Pauline. She is in Montgomery, Alabama. And Pauline's mother was the oldest of 12 kids. Her name was Katie, and they called the kids Kate's Dozen, which I just love. And Kate and her husband, Henry McQueen, it was Kate Boykin and Henry McQueen. And so their descendants have gotten together in California. Many of them are now in California for 49 years. This is the first year that they won't be gathering in person. They'll be together by Zoom, like many of us. And last year they had 250 people that got together. So the descendants of those 12 children, and they call it the Boykin McQueen Annual Christmas Legacy. And it certainly is a legacy. So we'll just go ahead and start with the first clip that we have where Pauline kind of describes what they do every year.
All right, here we go.
Every year we had this, there was a program planned, and the program included prayer. Always started with prayer. We had family music, always singing together. We had a family ensemble, assembled with my first cousin and his 2 children, consisted of a keyboard, a saxophone, and drum set. And they played some of our Christmas music for us, a cappella. The family always sang together and harmonized as if we had a choir. Always harmonizing, singing the songs that we used to sing with Mama years ago back here in Alabama. And it was always one joyous time. The people at the Castaway restaurant look forward to us coming every year. We would arrive there around 10, and we would have our family celebration throughout the whole program that was planned from 10 until 3. There was a champagne brunch. It was always on the Sunday before Christmas. And the food was just delicious. The program was just beautiful. In the program, we always had a program planned where it included all the children. We always had children's games, children's knowledge shared with us. We had recitation of poems. We had children performing the things that in dance that they had learned in school that school year. We had so many activities. And one good thing that everybody looked forward to for the children, because Christmas is the gift of giving season. Every child left there with a gift. Everyone in the family left there with a gift.
Wow, that's just what a great family gathering, you know, and just to have that and to do it, like you said, for 49 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I love that she mentions the music and the songs. So many people mention that, you know, people who wrote in, or just songs and music are so central, I think, to Christmas and to sort of all of our family time together, but especially our Christmas time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's what she talks about in this next clip. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and roll that.
I want to know a little more about the songs that you sing. I think it's so marvelous that you have musicians in the family and that you all gather around and sing. And I think that's a tradition that is sort of an age-old tradition that I don't know how many people keep that up anymore. Can you tell me, and I know you said you sing the songs that your mother sang and probably your grandmother too. Can you tell me a few of your favorites?
Well, Mama always used to get the children. We always, down in the country where she lived, we always gather on the front porch. And she would have the children sitting down around her feet, and she was a storyteller. She'd tell us stories. And she'd tell us Bible stories about how the earth was started, how in the Garden of Eden. We all knew that story. I heard it first from Mama. And then we would always end our storytelling time by singing Jesus Loved Me. Jesus loves me, this I know. And all the different voices would just tune in, and miraculously we'll be harmonizing. And that's the same way now when my uncles and my aunties start singing, they start singing a tune, and it automatically just harmonizes.
That's amazing.
Mama was a deep alto voice.
Or are there certain songs that you sing when you get together for Christmas in addition to Jesus Loves Me? Are there certain Christmas songs or Christmas hymns that you always sing, or is it a variety?
My mom was Mama's oldest child. My mother was the oldest child. And my mother's favorite song at Christmas time was Silent Night. Mm-hmm. And Mama had a song. It was Santa Claus is Coming. Santa Claus is coming to town. She was dancing through the house and singing the song. And she's baking a cake. And you remember olden days, they would hold the bowl up in the arm and they would be beating the batter. Mama used to do that. And she would be singing and hopping. We would just be dancing and singing right along behind her as she was going from the house to the kitchen. And she said, everybody out of the kitchen. I'm getting ready to put my cake in the pan. There'll be no more jumping and hopping in this house.
Oh, that's great.
But one of my favorite is Silent Night.
That's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was so great. I loved hearing about all of the songs they sang and the storytelling that went on, and dancing in the kitchen and singing the Christmas songs in the kitchen. I just, I had such a similar experience with my grandmother growing up, and it was just so so wonderful and so nice. And it's just great to remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I had the same experience with my grandmother too. I feel like that's kind of a universal. I mean, when I picture her dancing around the kitchen
Yep.
with that wooden spoon and her apron, singing. She used to sing, "Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah,"
Yeah.
that old song, and then she would put my name in it. "Someone's in the kitchen with Emily." Then she'd do my sister. And it was
Yep.
just like when Miss Pauline was talking about that, I could just picture that so easily.
Yeah, and she talked about the baking and everything, and that's such and I know we're going to get into that in a little bit later in the show, but that's just such such an integral part of holidays, and not even just holidays, but just family traditions and that folk life in general, and it's just so just such good memories. This is just all making me think of so many good memories, and and we've got another clip from Miss Pauline too, and should we go ahead and show that one?
Yeah, I think she'll talk about in this next one. When you're having fun with your grandma and everybody in the kitchen, you're not always aware because you're having so much fun of what's getting passed down.
Right.
But those stories and those lessons and sort of those models for living kind of soak into you when you're at those multi-generational gatherings. So that's what we'll hear her talk about next.
All right, here we go.
That won't happen. So one thing for sure, the children know that this is a learning opportunity. We have the telling of the story of our family. And we had a quiz. 2 years ago, we had a quiz. And we said to children as if they were in a classroom, you'd be surprised how much they heard and learned and put into that sponge of their head. They learned it, and we had a test, and they were raising their little hands up and answering the questions just like they were in school. Just that time. And I said, the oldest one said, Auntie or cousin, I'm cousin to the younger ones, Cousin Pauline, I remember when you told us to always leave someone with a kind word. And one of them told me, said, Cousin Pauline, you always told us never to leave your family member unless you leave them with some love. This is something they remember.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of my older ones, I told them, my newly married couple, I said, one thing I want you to remember, to love each other. I know you do because you married each other. I said, but never, ever go to bed mad at each other. Never.
That is so great. And that just brings back so many memories for me too. And we would always gather, my mom's side of the family is Norwegian. And so it's become, now it's turned into an Alabama tradition because we've been here for a couple of generations, but we would always get together on the eve of Christmas Eve, which is called Lille Julaften in Norwegian. And it means Little Christmas Eve. And so we would all get together with my mom's cousins and their kids. And, it was just such a huge tradition, and just learning from them, and, learning a lot of the Norwegian words and the Norwegian songs and at Christmas time and things like that, and the traditions. It was just, you don't realize it, and how much, and now I think how much of we miss that because we are not able to get together now. And so, but it's just, you learn all of these things that you just don't realize. And for me, having two little ones, passing down those traditions and making sure that it's carried on, I kind of feel like that's my responsibility now. So it's just so nice to hear her talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do think, those gatherings where you've got babies all the way up to seniors, I mean, there's really just nothing like it.
Yep. Yeah, it's really great. And so we're going to end with our final video from Miss Pauline. And this is I just love this. This is so much fun. But she talks about how they say goodbye at this family tradition, this family gathering. So I'm going to roll that video right now.
When we were at the Doubletree Hotel, we did Sister Sledge. At the end, before we parted, we did Sister Sledge, and we all danced, used the electric slide to leave the room. And we asked my cousin, one of my cousins, my uncle's children in California, my Uncle Sammy, his oldest son, he said, well, as we leave this room, we're going to electric slide out this door, and as you go across the threshold, you announce yourself leaving. Tyrone is leaving. Pauline is leaving.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I
It
love
was
it.
so much fun. So much fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a lot of
I love that.
I love that idea.
I know it's so much fun, and it's really fun for me. What I really take away from that and learn from that is that, you think of folk life as kind of old fashioned, old timey type things, but really, I mean, Sister Sledge, that's a tradition. That's folk life. I mean, it became part of her family's tradition and legacy and what they do to make it so much fun. And I think that's something that we can all learn from, is that you can start your own traditions and they can become your family's folk life.
Yeah. And I do think there's something so special, like what you were saying about sort of being a link in that chain, continuing to do the things that your parents did and their parents did. And there's just something special about feeling connected into that long generational human chain. And that's what makes these traditions so special, but also just what makes folk life, special in general.
Right. Absolutely. And we want to remind everybody, if you have a fun song that you sing, on a holiday season, if you have something you want to share with us, please put it in the comments. We'd love to read it. We'd love to, post it up here while we're talking. We want to hear from you and what your fun things are. And, if you're planning on starting a new tradition this year because of, the craziness of 2020, let us know what that fun new tradition is. It's going to be, it's just, we're getting very creative this year, and this is just so much fun to do. And, again, don't forget, one real quick thing I want to talk about with Miss Pauline's videos. First of all, Miss Pauline is awesome. As we've all seen, she's amazing. And she's also one of our lead volunteers in Montgomery, one of our lead AARP volunteers in Montgomery. So I definitely want to thank her for her, service to our community up there. We really appreciate it. And, we talked about how you can make these videos too and send them in to Emily at the email address that's scrolling below. But if you need help with these videos, we actually helped Miss Pauline out make these videos, helped her create her videos. And so what we did is we just, what you need is, a camera on your computer or on your phone, and, headphones and are ideal with the microphone, and, internet, obviously. And, we can help you create these videos that will, again, live in perpetuity. So please reach out to Emily, send in your videos, or if you need help with them, let us know. We'll be happy to, let's see. And Devin Ford says, Emily is so amazing. How exciting for AARP. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Devin. I'm very lucky to call Emily a friend as well as a colleague in this work. And we are very lucky to have her. And so, yes.
And we'll just go ahead and say that Devin is amazing too. Many of you,
yes,
I'm sure, know
she really is.
Yes. Work.
Yeah, she is. She is a force. She is a force in the Mobile community. So we love you too, Devin. And then Jane Ward Carlton said, "Thank you for talking about this. Such a lovely reminder of the goodness of family and traditions." Absolutely. It's something we definitely need to talk about this year. We need to talk about all the good stuff. So absolutely. So I think our next video that we're about to, Emily, you're about to introduce to us, it's a lovely young woman who's talking about her family traditions. And so can you introduce our next guest in video?
Yes, this is Bianca Talley, and she is a student at Alabama A&M.
Okay.
So the night before Christmas, so Christmas Eve, we'll have an early dinner. My mom will make the same thing, ham and cheese sandwiches with white cheese sprinkled on top, and I would call it sauerkraut. After dinner, we'd all gather around the tree. I'd lay under the tree just to look at all the pretty lights and embrace the whole spirit and the whole vibe of the whole holiday. We'd each sing songs. My mom would make hot chocolate for everybody. And we'd either watch a Christmas movie or play a game. After about an hour or so of doing that, an hour or two, we'd each open one gift, like I know a lot of people do. We each go around and look at a gift, pick out a gift, and open it and share it with everybody.
That's a great tradition.
I love, my favorite part of that is when she talks about lying under the Christmas tree.
Mhm.
I have such vivid memories of doing that as a kid. I don't know if you did that as well, but just laying under there and looking up at those lights.
Yes, I do. And again, that's kind of something that I think is universal for children and our memories and everything is that Christmas tree and just being so enamored by the lights and the beauty and the shining ornaments and just all of that, and like she said, we do a very similar thing. We get together on Christmas Eve and we, have some great food traditions and we all open a gift. So, one gift and on Christmas Eve. And so, like she mentioned, and I think I'll talk about a little more is that, food, how much food is so important around the holiday season.
Yeah. And, I did a little crowdsourcing on Facebook before today, just to get people to write in about their traditions. And so many of them were about food, of course. But what was cool about it is that, so a lot of people mentioned citrus, particularly oranges, but also satsumas, and how that's kind of an age-old holiday tradition in the South. And that is because citrus used to be hard to get. It used to be kind of luxurious and expensive. And so to get an orange on Christmas, was a sign that it was something special. And so that kind of continues for us. We still think of oranges on Christmas. And it's one of the main ingredients in ambrosia, which several people mentioned to me as being a Christmas tradition in Alabama is to make ambrosia. And then coconut cake also is a Christmas tradition, and coconut, same thing. Coconuts were tropical and expensive and hard to get. So I thought that was really cool. Also pecans, because they're seasonal, they're harvested in the fall, and so people bake with them for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And people mention divinity and pralines or pralines, however you want to say it, and pecan pie too. And then, also other nuts. People said, it's a tradition to get nuts in your stocking and citrus in your stocking. So they mentioned almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, that was mentioned by several people, were seafood traditions. And of course, on the coast, specifically oysters, because it's safe to eat them in the wintertime. And so people would eat oyster stew on Christmas Eve. And also make oyster dressing. And I had someone mention boiled shrimp also, which is really, you don't always step back and think about these things, but of course you're eating the foods that are ready, that are harvested now, or that are, safe to eat now. And so those traditions continue. And then also decorating with holly trees or magnolia leaves, just taking what you're finding in nature to do your Christmas decorating. So that's just a few things that people mentioned that I thought were fun.
Well, that's so funny you mentioned, because two things. We have a series on every other Monday called What's Growing On. And this past Monday, we had one with Victory Teaching Farm. And we talked about, using the oranges to make pomanders, with the cloves and everything. And then we talked about the Christmas potpourri that you can make with stuff just around your house and decorating with the holly and stuff like that. So, and then you mentioned seafood, which is so funny because what I was going to talk about was with my favorite food memories was, again, the little Yule often, when we would get together with all the cousins and everything and kind of have that reunion. We did a big oyster roast. And we had oyster roast and boiled shrimp and West Indies salad. And that was just the norm for that occasion, But it was the seafood. And we usually had this at my great aunt's house, and she lived on the bay, on Mobile Bay. So, it is a very big part of you know, our family too, is that seafood and stuff. And Candy Williams says her great grandfather always brought us those huge candy cane sticks. I remember those. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. I remember getting the, and I've heard that they still have these, but I remember getting those, they were the Lifesaver books, you know, that had, you know, they were, they had the different flavors in there, like the butterscotch was my favorite.
Yes, the butterscotch was my favorite too. Butter rum.
Yes, butter rum. That was it. So, but there's just so many, you know, food traditions out there. And of course you have to put out, cookies for Santa, you know, the guest of the hour. And I think that actually sends us into our next video. Is that right, Emily?
Yep. Yeah. We can't forget about Santa. So,
okay.
That's right.
Let's see. Here we go. Miss Bianca again.
Me and my sister, we'd always set up a camera to catch Santa. And so we'd always make up an elaborate plan and use her old camera that she got for Christmas years ago and set it upside under the tree so we could catch Santa. And we'd always wait all night and then eventually fall asleep, and we never caught him.
They never caught him.
My grandpa used to go outside and ring jingle bells to get us to go to bed. You know, like Santa's sleigh was coming, and we needed to scoot to bed. But I had another person write to me that their Santa would light off firecrackers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then another said that they would get sparklers in their stocking. And I guess there are a lot of fireworks related Christmas traditions, not as much maybe here in other countries, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And Candy says that's awesome, Bianca. She's absolutely right. And I remember, and you know, now thinking back on it, you know, it was so funny because it's like Santa's busy on Christmas Eve, but my uncle would always call us on Christmas Eve and pretend like he was Santa Claus and tell us, you know, you better be getting to bed. Have you been good? Blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because my dad has continued that with my kids too. They're 4 and 2. And so they're just really understanding the magic of Santa Claus. And so it's just so fun to, just, you know, see and hear again that kind of universal, you know, excitement from the kids and everything, and how kind of Santa, you know, grows with you. It's a lot of fun, So now you have, we don't have any more clips, but you do have a story you got through email. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share that. So this comes from Holly Lowry. She grew up in Horseneck, Alabama, which is in the northeastern corner of Baldwin County. And this is a tradition she and her grandmother did together. Her grandmother was born in 1930. And it's called Christmas Gift. So I'm just going to read from her email. On Christmas morning, I want to be the first to say Christmas gift to whomever I can when I wake up early. My grandmother and I would do that when I was growing up. She would tell lots of stories of her childhood and even from her grandmother's childhood. She said growing up, she and her grandmother would have a race to say Christmas gift first. There was no physical prize, but it was fun. Christmas morning is exciting, and if you were the first to say it, it made the day even better. I would call her on the phone, and she'd say hello, and there's no caller ID, she says. And I'd say Christmas gift, and we'd laugh. She had the best laugh. She'd laugh real jolly and say it back and end it with a whew, kind of singing it with a smile you could hear. I just love that description.
I do too.
So yes, of her grandmother. And what a cool tradition. So that's one that maybe we can take ourselves.
Absolutely. What a beautiful way to tell it. Thank you, Holly. That was a great way to tell that story. And it's just, you know, it's so fun. It's so, you know, again, because this year is just so different than anything we've ever experienced. It's fun to remember these traditions and, like we said, create new ones. And you know, always remember that, again, contact Emily if you want to do one of these videos. You can do it yourself and send it in, or like I said, we can help you. We'd be happy to do that.
And we're collecting, like we said, any traditions. We did a special holiday show, but we're really looking for all of your folk traditions. So
absolutely, absolutely. And just a reminder, folk traditions are songs, they're recipes, they're what you do during the holidays, but they're also what you remember making with your grandmother just on a random day, what you remember doing with your family on a random day. It doesn't have to be a special occasion, but if you did something that was very meaningful to you and your family that's been passed down, we want to know, and we want to help you keep that and archive that for generations to come. So please, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you out with that. And Emily, thank you so much for undertaking such an enormous task to collect these stories and do and keep these legacies alive. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. I know all of Alabama appreciates it. So thank you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. This was really fun, and it was just great. Thank you to Pauline and Bianca and Holly and everyone who shared. It was just great to hear from everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, thanks so much again for joining us today. And remember, if you have a tradition, art, craft, recipe, anything that's been passed down through the generations, we want to help you preserve them. So please email Emily, and you can learn more about how to participate in Folk in 5. We'd love to have you. We'd love to do another show like this, just talking about traditions in general. So, please send those in, let us know. And again, Emily, thank you so much. Happy holidays to you and yours. I hope it's great. So
yes, happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, I hope everyone has safe, happy holidays. And just to let you all know, stay tuned on our Facebook page, because talking about food and tradition, Emily inspired me or inspired us at AARP. And so the staff is going to be sharing some of their family recipes for holiday treats on our Facebook page. So keep an eye out for that on our Facebook page, and follow our Facebook page, because we're going to be talking a lot about more events and everything that's coming up in 2021, because we are not stopping. We're just keeping on going. And stay tuned, because we're going to show you a video about what's coming up in 2021. And until then, everyone, have a safe and happy holiday season.